Okay, we are recording now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Camp X. So today, I am Erin Stevenson, and my teammate is,
Nikolai Afanasyev, hello.
and today we're going to be sharing with you our game. So if we want to get started on the next slide.
Okay.
So the whole idea behind our game is that it's meant to be like an interactive mission-based game for grade 10 Canadian history students. So this is kind of a game that's meant to be played as a part of a classroom. So think of earlier in this course when we had the presentation about or the lecture about the bird who flew over the cuckoo's nest. It's kind of similar to that, but in a single class period. So the entire idea behind our game is that students are now trying to graduate from Camp X. They have all been selected for certain reasons to be a candidate to become a spy in Europe overseas. And this is actually like rooted in the history curriculum for grade 10 because the whole curriculum, it does state like different contributions for the Canadian war effort. And one of these contributions was the existence of Camp X, which was a spy training camp in Ontario. So essentially, the way that the game will work is that a teacher will announce to the students that they are all potential graduates for Camp X. And it is their job to pass a final examination by passing a series of missions that they will be given. The win condition for this game, and so the ability of students to actually like pass is the win. So spies can only fail one mission. The game is also using situational design principles as part of the game mechanics. So the element of this is really talking about like how students are like basically role playing the situation. Like it's set during a specific time period in Canadian history. So it's set during the 1940s when Camp X existed. Um, we also use other game elements, such as the element of randomness in the assignment of missions. So basically, to start the game off, the teacher will split everyone in the class into small groups of about 4, and each group will have to create their own spy. And this is the spy that they will be playing as. So it's kind of a role-playing kind of game where they are putting themselves in the shoes of a spy trying to graduate from Camp X. Um, and so basically, the teacher will announce that each group will have different missions and each be different spies. So they get to name who their spy is. They get to write a little backstory to get them invested in the game, as well as having a choice of several secret talents which we have created, each which basically give like different buffs during different missions. So we have like a numeric code breaker who, when there's like a code breaking mission that involves numbers, the teacher will provide them with the first number of the code um, already solved. There's also the same thing, but for linguist code breakers. So if it's like a code that is a word, they start with the first letter solved. Um, and then, so overall, the teacher is basically like acting as a head spy in this kind of world, and they're trying to really involve the students in like kind of a role playing aspect. So students are this capable spy, they are able to solve these missions, and this kind of incorporates like the principles that we learned about in terms of both intrinsic motivation as well as extrinsic motivation in terms of self-determination theory, because they are given a lot of choices in terms of like what type of spy they want to be. This is something that they are deciding in their groups as well as deciding on a single secret talent. And yeah, also one thing that this teacher will be responsible for announcing at the start of the class is that students should be aware that one of the missions may involve spying on other classmates. So if they think that at any point they are being spied on, they should report it to the head spy, which would cause a fail for that other mission. And this basically will serve throughout the game as a classroom management strategy. I think everyone who plays games with their classes knows how rowdy it can kind of get. So there's like this added level of secrecy in this game, and this mission will be further explained later in this presentation. So to get into the missions, so the missions are like the root of this game. So teachers will be handing out to each group a different mission at the start of the game. And so each group will have a different missions depending on the numbers in the classes. Not all missions may be in play at the same time. So for our first mission, we have background checks. And this is also really rooted in the curriculum because students will be given an Instagram account. And this Instagram account has 4 different photos of different Canadian individuals who are, most of whom are actually mentioned in the Canadian history curriculum. And students will get a choice that they can identify only 2 out of the 4 of these individuals, which is another incorporation of like adding the element of choice in this game. So students basically, to solve this mission, will need to use like a reverse image search. And one of the secret talents that students will give the opportunity to use is the secret talent of TechWiz. So if they have this secret talent, the teacher will tell them, hey, you need to use reverse image search. So any mission that requires the use of some sort of like tech like this, they will get that kind of buff at the start of the game, so they know like what they're supposed to do. And so for this game, all they have to do is they have to basically figure out who 2 of these individuals are. So state their names as well as their contribution to the war effort. And once they have completed this, they return it to the head spy, and the head spy will either tell them you passed or you fail, based off of if the information that they have given it is correct. And the head spy, so the teacher, will have a document with all of the answers so that they are able to quickly reference if students are doing things correctly, and also know like all of the buffs that are going on. And we'll show that to you later. All right, next mission.
The next mission is called code breaking or Cree code breaking. And in this one, students will learn about the significance of using the Cree language in encrypting messages in the context of World War II. This is actually corresponds to Ontario curriculum. So they're going to learn about this through gamification, which is neat. They will activate their translating and coding skills and actually learn some basic words in Cree language. And actually, as a part of this mission, they will have an option of viewing, of seeing a little bit of documentary on the brothers, on the Cree brothers who are involved in this in helping the cadets at the Camp X to do that.
All right, I kind of teased this mission before, but this is mission 3, which is gathering intel. So at the beginning of the game, the head spy will announce that this mission exists. However, it might not be in play at all times. So the players who receive this mission, they receive a document that basically says like, like don't let anyone know that this is your mission. Like you have to like secretly go and find out what another group is doing. And this is kind of rooted in the history of Camp X, because Camp X would actually send their trainee spies out into the community to like try and figure out like try and find documents and like break in and like basically like act as spies within Ontario. And so this also ensures that there's a sense of secrecy in the class among, because like all of these missions, like each group will potentially have the same missions as another group at a different time. It basically makes it so so you don't have groups just like saying, oh, this is the answer, because they want to keep like their answers a secret. Also, students, if they think that they are being spied on at any time, they can report this to the teacher. However, they can only do this once per game, and, they might be right, they might be wrong. If they are right, it means that the group that is caught, like, the mission is a failure. So the group that was maybe acting, like, really poorly as a spy, like, they were literally just going over and, like, standing over someone else's shoulder, and they're like, "I think this person's spying on me." Basically, that is how it'll work. And if they're wrong, then too bad, you don't get any more guesses. Like, if you think your team is spied on, like, you have no defense against it. Um, and so the students who are acting as the spies, like, it's written on the document, like, as a suggestion, like, you might wanna make up, like, as a team, your own fake mission, and, like, that way you have a cover. And basically this group just really doesn't wanna get caught, because if they get caught, it's a failure. But otherwise, all they have to do is, like, gather some intel on what one of the other groups is doing. Like, they can say, like, the mission name that the other group has, they can say, like, what they're doing, like, just trying to gather as much information as they possibly can, and the head spy, when they're reported back to, they can say, like, "Oh, this is enough information," or maybe the information is wrong, and they have, like, all of the other mission documents, so they know what each group is doing. And so basically, like, that is how this mission works. Yeah, that's it for this mission. So mission number 4. This is kind of a fun mission of students have to escape capture. So as part of their spy training, they need to be able to get out of any situation. And so basically, we have designed a virtual escape room where students need to break out of a prison using their code breaking abilities. This uses the numeric code breaking secret talent. So, if a student has this at the start of this mission, the teacher or head spy will tell them the first letter or the first number of the first code. So, there are a series of situations that they need to escape from. Basically, they're put in this situation where they are waking up in a jail cell and they're handcuffed, and they need to break a code to get out of those handcuffs. From there, they move on, like, they have escaped their cell, they now need a disguise. So they have to break another code to break into a supply closet to get a guard's uniform. And each of these steps, students are given hints that are designed to be possible to solve quickly because of the time constraints of this game. But also, they're designed to be challenging enough that that is still like pleasing for them. And this is like actually a principle from G, like the book that we have all been reading this entire course, because you wanna make it still pleasant, like, you don't want it to be so straightforward that it's um, still possible to do within the time constraints. But yeah, that's this mission.
The fifth mission is really the continuation of the third one, where to use Guy's language, students actually get to explore this new identity of being a spy, which means basically coding and encrypting messages, but also assessing the intel. So this is the intel assessment mission, where students have to apply the critical thinking, research, analytical, and myth debunking skills. And they're presented with 4 of the popular myths, and what they have to do is to basically use whatever resources they can to debunk them. So they have to work collaboratively on this one. And some of the myths include obviously Sir Ian Fleming, who apparently was rumored to be a part of this camp, and who was actually wrote like James Bond. And another one is that the 2 prominent spies um, who are on the mission to kill Heydrich, to eliminate Heydrich in Prague. So they have to investigate that and try themselves in these roles. The final mission, the final examination mission, is really the combination of all of the previous ones, and this is where the teams will have to use their problem solving skills really, and to solve a series of mini missions. There are 5 questions that they have to solve. So we use the Google Earth tool to design this one, and it's a combination of riddles and mini quests. And each of the question corresponds to the locations where Camp X was situated around Oshawa, in between Oshawa and Whitby, actually. So students will have to work collaboratively to solve each of these mini missions. And we are reminding here of the comeback mechanic. So each of the groups can only fail one of the missions. And then there is still an opportunity to pass, because we don't want to frustrate people too much. So we're using the zone of proximal development here. So we're trying to balance between where it's like too tedious and the information is very digestible for students, and the zone where the students completely they have zero comprehension of what's going on. So we're trying to balance it and actually keep it in the zone of proximal development, so they're not getting too frustrated and kind of just give up on trying to win this game. So essentially, then students will actually pass or fail. So if they pass the test, if they pass this examination, then they will be presented with an opportunity to become the spies and work in Europe. Anything you would like to add, Erin?
No, I think that's great. Just to quickly show you all basically what all these documents kind of look like.
Right.
Just quickly show the Google Drive. So basically, here are all the different documents. So there are documents for each of the missions on the student side, so the player side. So these are the missions that the teacher will be handing out. If they really want to go for like a role-playing experience, ideally, like you can imagine like in a classroom setting, like handing these out in like one of those beige folders and write like top secret on like the front of them. And so like there can be like immersion elements added into this game into the future. Um, However, we also have mission solutions. So these are going to be like on the game masters, like the head spy level, where basically they're given like all of the solutions, as well as information about like any of the buffs or special traits that students might have. So it basically tells them like, hey, if you give out this mission and a student has this secret talent, give them this information. And this just makes it easier to run and a bit more straightforward. Um, and yeah, we also have like a document at the start on top of the other missions on like students how to create their spy profile, as well as giving them a little bit of that historical background. Um, and so yeah, that's our game. Hopefully you all enjoy and hopefully you liked it. Do you have anything to add, Nick?
I think that's great.
All right. Well, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much for your time.